Hello, it's good to see you. I'm Kirsty. Welcome to Kirsty Knits and Sews, where we talk about all the things that I've been making. I'm so glad you're here. I am an Aussie living in Poland with my husband and my 2 kids, and I love playing with colour and creating. In the past couple of weeks, I have been knitting and dyeing, including Christmas knits and Advent dyeing, which I can't show you here because the people who I am swapping an Advent with will be watching this. Hey guys. So I can't share that here, but there is much that I can share. So let's get started with that, the stuff that I can share with you. And as always, project pages and links to shops and yarns and things will be found down below. So let's get started. First up, I have a few finished things, and I've just realised that I should probably start with the thing that I'm wearing, even though it wasn't the first thing I finished. And technically it isn't finished because there are 3 buttonholes here, and there are no buttons on this side. But I decided on a whim to record this now. I was going to do that tonight. I should tell you that. It is August 24, 25? August 25th? And it is 2:51 p.m. It is episode 34. So hi again, welcome. I was planning to record this tonight and then both my kids got sick, which usually wouldn't mean that I have more time, but I realized that me and my husband were both just hanging out with them and they're not doing anything because they're sick. So I thought, hey, I can go record an episode with daylight. Yes, we have daylight today. If you're new here, I've been recording at night once the kids are in bed because that's what has been working for our schedule. So daylight is a nice change. All right, so first thing that I have finished, that on my whim of recording in the middle of the day, I forgot that I hadn't put buttons on and wasn't going to take the time to do that. So maybe I'll wear it when it has buttons, but finished object. I finished my fluffigan, which is a fluffy cardigan. It is a test knit for Renia of Comfort Zone Knits. She does a lot of cardigans, usually fingering weight, I think. A lot of them are fingering weight, so if you're interested in some lightweight cardigans, go check her out. This one is called the Fluffigan because it is made with, I have here, Martin's Lab Kids Singles, which is 56% superwash merino. Oh, I may have broken it. Brilliant. Yeah, so it's 56% superwash merino, 44% mohair, fingering weight yarn, which means that you can make fingering weight mohair things instead of having a fingering weight with a lace weight mohair that makes more of a DK weight yarn. Yeah, and this was dyed especially for me. It's halfway between the colour Crush and Glamour, and so they just put between on the tag. I don't know if it's out yet. It wasn't out when the test knit came out, but they said if you want it, we'll dye it especially for you in whatever colour you chose. And so I contacted them and said, I like these 2 colours, can you mix it? And they did it, and it's perfect. So this is it in a skein, in a ball, sorry. I did end up using 220 grams, so 2.2 balls, 2.2 skeins. So I'm glad I got the 3. Previously I was saying because I'm doing it cropped, I wasn't sure if I'd need the 3. I did, because sleeves take up a lot more than you realise. But yeah, so glad I got the 3, but I still have enough here to do something for my daughter, which I also mentioned before, because my daughter is 3 and loves all things pink and purple, usually pink. Okay, so fluffigan. I test knit. I did size 2, which is 1 size down from my recommended size, but I did size 3 for the sleeves because I knew that I didn't want, they're fitted sleeves, and I knew that if I went down, they would not fit. So I did size 3 for the sleeves and size 2 for the body because I wanted it to have less positive ease and to be cropped, because I wear a lot of dresses, as you can see, and that is just where I wanted it to sit. I'm so happy with this. I will definitely wear it with this dress. It is a little warm today, so I may take it off yet. Can I even tell you? 24 degrees. So it's not super warm. But upstairs, we had 34 degrees yesterday, and so it is warmer up here than it should be for how warm it is outside. Because I didn't open the windows last night because it was trash night, garbage night, and the garbage people wake up my kids. Not that it's really an issue because they wake up by themselves anyway at the moment. That's how it is. Anyway, back to the cardigan. It is comfy. It is beautifully done. The construction of it is like, it's fine. It has decreases all down the arm. I don't know if you'll be able to notice it. I did accidentally leave 3 stitch markers in when I was blocking it and have a tiny little bit of rust in certain places, rust discoloring. I can't believe I did that. I saw them so many times as I was knitting the sleeves and I thought I should take them out, and then I was like, no, I'll do it later. And then I didn't. Anyway, so I have a little bit of discoloring. It's not much, it's not bad. I've obviously taken it out now, and I can probably try and wash out the discoloration, but I've just blocked it. I'm not going to do that yet. Construction. Let me take it off because it is getting warm, but also then I can show you. It's a top down, so you cast on at the back and then you do short rows down here. And so once you've done the short rows, you then work back and forward until where you would join for the sleeves, and then you pick up the stitches and you do the right front and then the left front, and then you join. And when you join, until joining, it just seemed to fly off the needles. When you join, you're then doing these really long rows back and forward. Really long rows back and forward. And that's when it started to drag a little bit for me. I knew I was doing cropped, so it wasn't like, it's not even that long since it joins. It's pretty short. Actually, that's a good point. That answers some of my questions. Oh, there you go. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but that's a little bit of the discoloration there. Really not that bad. I will tell you why I'm intrigued in a few minutes. Just because I'm doing another sweater that I want to have a similar amount of croppedness and drop from the shoulder, and I've just realized that I can use this as a measure to see if what the pattern says is what I want and need. Brilliant. Anyway, so once you've done that, you do ribbing. I think the pattern calls for 3 1/4 inches. I did 2.5 because I didn't want it to be that long, and also because it's cropped, I didn't want the hem to overshadow. And so then I just made the ribbing on the sleeves match the hem. But yeah, everything else is to pattern. I'm so happy with this. It is a fingering weight cardigan, so it's a lot of meters to knit in such a small thing. I knit socks all the time. I have no problem knitting with small needles. I love fingering weight sweaters, but yeah, I'm used to knitting in the round, and so knitting back and forward cardigans always just mentally takes me a minute to be like, oh yeah, this is what I'm doing. It just, does anyone else find that? The things that you knit all the time that are just like in the super easy basket, you just do it and you don't think of it. But then when you get to something new, you're just overthinking every single thing because it's different and it's new. Anyway, that's what I find. And so it was new. I don't knit many cardigans, but I'm very happy that I've knit this one. I love how well it matches this dress, and I may wear this dress when I go get photos because it is a test knit and I'm going to need to take photos in it. Like I said, I'm not going to put it back on because it is mohair and it is warm up here. But I'm very happy with it. So, a few stats. Oh, sorry, bumped the table. That's where that pen went. A few stats. I started it on the 27th of July and I finished it on the 23rd of August. So, not even a month. Part of that was it's a test knit. Part of that was I didn't have many things that I was working on at the time. And it was a simple enough knit that for the most part I could pick it up and knit it without thinking. So it fit nicely into my complicated knit bucket as well as my simple knit bucket for the most of it. It took 220 grams. I already mentioned that. So yeah, fluff again. I will let you know when the pattern is released, but I wanted to show you now because it's already done. All right, the next pair, or the next thing that I finished was a pair of socks, and this is them. I do have two of them, but I only have one blocker. So there you go. These are Inferno socks. So this is the wool. Sorry, new camera setup. I can't see. I don't think that is. Anyway, that is the wool. Knits up pretty much as it looks. And this is the tag. Ah, there we go. And it is Inferno, which is 60% superwash merino, 20% superfine alpaca, and 20% nylon. Black Bottle Yarn and Fibre is a local dyer to where I was living in Australia, in Canberra. And yes, I was able to go to their shop quite a few times. They actually have alpacas like on their property because it's an alpaca farm. But I also got to see them at least one yarn show, which is where I bought this, or a market, where like a yarn market. There was no pay to get in, but there is a market that they invite wool vendors to, yarn vendors to every so often, and it was one of those weekends. All right, socks. These are not a typical pattern. These are the vanilla socks on Magic Loop by Cave the Crazy Sock Lady, but I did 26 rounds. Yeah, I got it wrong last week. It was 26 round repeats of the heel flap, which means it is much larger here than I typically do for a sock, definitely than the pattern. You can see the difference there. Not really, actually. You can't see the difference because they're both on sock blockers, I think. Anyway, there's a big difference. There is a lot more size in here. And so I have had these on the needles for a long time. I started them the 25th of June and finished them the 16th of August. So these ones took 6 weeks to do. Not because there was that much knitting in them, but because I was trying something new. And I figured it out. They do fit my husband. He hasn't got them yet because it's Father's Day next week in Australia. And I'm going to give them to him for Father's Day as part of his gift. So yeah, very happy that they're done. Other than that, it's all to pattern. Yeah, everything's to pattern. So 64 stitches, size medium, heel flap and gusset. I do them 2.5 millimeter instead of the 2.25 that the pattern calls for, because that's what I like fabric wise, gauge I'm happy with. But yeah, everything else is exactly to pattern, and I do this pattern a lot. They are my go-to. I am going to show you, if I take this off, I made myself a sock blocker because we have a 3D printer now, but I didn't realize that these two parts printed on opposite sides. So they printed like that, where they match, but then you have to turn it over to get it to click together. And now I have a weird looking sock blocker. So I'm a little bit sad about that, but I just want to show you. I did it so that I have sock blocker big enough to show socks for my husband, and a lot of the men in my life have really big feet. But yeah, so I don't think I'll make another one of these, but at least not of this pattern, or at least not in multicolored stuff. It was all the same color, it wouldn't matter, but because it's different colors, it does matter. So yeah, but I want to show you that it's not as secure, obviously, because it's connected as well. So we'll see, but I like the pattern. And those socks used 75 grams. So there you go. The next pair that I finished in 5 days. I cast them on the 18th of August and finished them on the 23rd of August. So 6 days in. And these ones I love. Oh my goodness. I love them. Oh, so cool. All right, so these ones are scrappy socks. That's why they don't match. I have already put them back into my scrap basket, but I only had, let me go back. I pulled out a whole bunch of scraps in like the browns, oranges, blues, greens. Yeah, there's a bit of green in here. Whites, beiges, just those kinds of colors. Pulled them out, put them in a project bag. I then knit the first sock, which was this one. Used them all up, and by the time I got down to the foot, realized that I was gonna run out of the darker colors. And so I wasn't sure quite how I was feeling about it, and then I managed to make them balance out in the second sock. And I actually really, really love them. They are DK weight vanilla socks by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady in size medium. I did 50 rows for the leg, which I don't normally, if I'm doing that, I usually do 30 rows for the leg for DK socks because how much yarn it uses. So I can do 30 rows and still almost not have enough yarn to make a pair of socks for me. And I am a size 38 European. Like a size 8 Australian, so maybe a size 7 US, maybe. Anyway, it's like I have not a very big foot. If I'm knitting for men, 100 grams isn't always enough for DK socks, but because they're scrappy, it didn't matter. So I did a much longer leg. I held one yarn consistent through most of the socks. So in this one, it ran out here, this grey line, and then I started using this beigey colour as the consistent one through the rest of the sock. With this one, it ran out even earlier. It ran out up here. So I had two different, mostly grey scraps that would have been 40 to 50 grams, well, 30 to 40 grams maybe. And so that's what I used as kind of the first colour in both. But they were still changeable. So like up here, this brown and this really pale grey were both in that main changing sock. I think they were, I couldn't tell you what colourway or anything like that. I want to say they were opals. Either way, it was one of those like you knit a sock and the colour changes as you knit the sock, so it kind of looks like you have stitches. Yeah, may not have been opal, but that kind of thing. Anyway, so I love how these have worked out. I used to have a pair of Uggs that the top was knit, and it was brown and white, but it had kind of a similar vibe to these, and man, I love them. So good. And now I just want to knit all the scrappy DK socks. The problem that I had with it was that I actually got a cramp in my thumb when I was knitting it because I also did them on DPNs, and I did them 3.5 millimeter instead of 3.25, which the pattern calls for. Again, that's a gauge thing. I knew that when I marl, it usually is tighter than if it needs a larger needle than if I'm doing DK plain, at least for socks. I've done DK socks on the 3.25s before with fingering held double, and yeah, they were very stiff, and so I just wanted a little bit looser gauge for these. Sorry, I'm just trying to think of what I'm trying to say. So I did them DPNs, but because the amount of fabric that was there as I was knitting across, I found myself holding it quite tight, and therefore I started getting a cramp in my arm and in my thumb. And so I actually had to put them down for a bit because of that cramp. And I did some normal sock knitting, like 4mm fingering weight sock, 4mm, not 4mm, 4-ply fingering weight socks for a while, and that was okay. But I also found that eventually that one started triggering the same problem. And so then I moved on to some colourwork knitting, which I will show you. And at the time I was doing that and had that problem, I also was working on the sleeve of this, which was Magic Loop, but had a similar kind of feel as I was holding it because it's quite slippery yarn. Yeah, so basically I had 2 socks and a sleeve, and I was like, I need something that's larger circumference knitting. So I cast on, or I picked up another jumper that I had cast on a few days before and not done anything with, and that was perfect. So let me show you that now. I'm very, very excited about this one. I cast this on, I think around the 8th of August. I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, but I'd had everything caped up and in a bag since before then. And, oh man. In fact, I showed on the last episode the yarn because I was planning to make it. Now this is in a bag that I made. My sister bought this fabric somewhere in Australia, I'm sorry, I don't know where, and she wanted to make a bag with it and was like, yeah, you can have a bag too. And when I was in Australia, I just went on a bag making kick, and so I made us both bags out of her fabric, and it worked really great. So this is what I use for my Christmas advent, so you will see it a lot come December, but it was big enough, and what I'm working on has stars, and I was like, that works, that's fine. All right, I am making the framed sweater jumper pullover by Andrea Mary. I am so excited. The yarn I am using is this, and do I have both of them here? I should. Yeah, and this. Now these two are technically the same colour, but you can tell one is much more blue and one is much more brown, even though they're both Malabrigo Rios, and they're both, I can't think of the name. Jello y Tierra. That's not going to be how you pronounce it. There we go. I'm learning. Yay! So it is 100% superwash merino wool. And now I'm dropping the name. Yeah, so the same colorway. They don't have dye lots as far as I've noticed from these ones that I got. I got them at the same time, at the same place. They must have only had 3 because I got one that I knew was obviously different. And my plan, what I was originally going to make, was just to stripe them out and whatever. But when I saw this one, I was like, if I use one for, this is all tangled up now. If I use one for the, like the cuff and the base, and the other for the color work, it'll be fine. And I should have enough to make that work according to the pattern. So this is what I got. I love this. Okay, just gonna have a moment. I love this. This is so delightfully squishy. It is a worsted weight color work sweater. So you can see my floats on the back. I don't pretend to be the best with color work, but I do like making it, and I'm learning every time to make it more consistent and how much of a float you actually need. So some of them you can see are a little big, but I don't mind. It's not blocked. I don't know how it's going to block out. I don't know if it's going to fit, if it's going to be too big, too small. This is the sweater that I was talking about for the fluff again, that I'm going to actually measure and see if the yoke length is going to be right. I think the length from the yoke down is going to be perfect based on what I was just looking at then. But yeah, I just want to double check all those things before I split for the sleeves. I think I'll probably go up a sleeve size with this one as well, but I'm going to double check the schematics. Rewind. I'm doing size 2. I think last time I was saying I was going to do size 3 and I changed it. I'm doing size 2 because size 2 will give me more of a chance of actually hitting it. And maybe I did say this. I measured another sweater that I have, and it actually has 0 negative ease, 0 positive ease, 0 ease. And I love it. And I love the way that it fits. And if this fits like that does, I'll be happy. If it has more or less ease, that'll be fine too. But I was like, if I'm going to aim at something without swatching, yes, I didn't swatch. If I'm going to aim for something without swatching, I'm going to aim for that. And that way I'm going to be happy either side it falls. I have a feeling that it may end up bigger than recommended. I think at the moment it's sitting bigger. I don't know how it's going to work though, because the blue is superwash and the grey is not. So the grey yarn is Handspun, and it's not the most consistent, and I have 2 balls, and I know that there is an inconsistency between the 2 balls in terms of size, grist, all those things. I understand. And so I've decided, rather than striping them, that I'm going to do one for the body and the other for the sleeves and see how we go. And that way I can just figure, like, I can play as I need to with that. And like you can see here, you can see the inconsistencies in that grey anyway, because there are some bits that are thick and some bits that are thin. I love it. Like, I heard once someone say that if you can spin, if your handspun looks like store-bought yarn, what's the point? Now, I don't agree with that. I think if you can make your handspun look like store-bought yarn, amazing. But I like the rustic look of handspun that isn't perfect. And I was really hesitant to knit with this because I knew it was inconsistent, and I knew that you would see the inconsistencies in this pattern. And even though I love the look, I was hesitant because I wasn't sure if I would like it in this. And I do. Like, I just do. Oh, I'm so happy with this. And like, I love that this skein is a different color, but it still has all the same colors because it's the same colorway. It's just much more heavy on the brown. But I love how you get the flecks of brown up here and the flecks of blue down here. And I'm so excited for this sweater. Anyway, so I'm not even sure what else to say about this. I started it on the 8th of August. It's now the 25th. So I've been working on it for about 2 weeks. But the first week, all I did was cast on and a little bit of ribbing. And then probably maybe a week ago, I kind of started working on the colour work in earnest. And this is, I want to say 2 evenings and a morning's worth of work. Like, it's not even a huge amount that I've put into it. But whenever I pick it up and I knit on it, oh, it is a delight. I am a sewer. You can see that I have plenty of sewing things, fabric down here. I love sewing. I enjoy all craft things, particularly that have colour. Where was I going with that? I have no idea. I'm a sewer, yes. What relevance does that have to knitting? Oh, the pattern. They're star blocks in the pattern. And so you have the negative and the positive star blocks. And so it's a sewing inspired pattern, a patchwork inspired pattern. And when I first saw Andrea's post, Instagram, email, whatever it was, I looked at it, I'm like, that's cool. I like the sewing element. I'm probably not going to make this one. And then when I saw it again, and I saw the style, the crop style, I saw it over a dress, I saw different people's colors and iterations of it. And I was just like, I love this. Like, how did I not think I was going to make this? And so I bought it when she had her like release sale, because I knew that it wouldn't be on sale again for a while. And so I bought it on her release sale and picked out the yarn, and I'm so happy. Now, will I have enough yarn? I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. And I may end up with, you know, a cropped sleeve jumper or something. But I'm just going to go for it and knit and figure out on the sleeves yarn management when I get that far. I even thought maybe I could turn it into a vest if I needed to, or a drop shoulder top. I don't think that would be great in that it is worsted weight. And so I think if I do a drop shoulder t-shirt in worsted weight color work, it'll be way too warm to wear as a t-shirt when I can wear a t-shirt. Maybe I could wear it over a long sleeve shirt. Anyway, I'll figure all of that out later. I love this. I love it. And you can see, like, will I end up with something that I don't wear? No. I will make it work so that I will wear it, but I love the colors and the look too much to not make it like this. So, yay. I do have stitch markers here. These were not really a goodbye gift from a friend, but kind of a goodbye gift from a friend in Australia. We went out for coffee at Blackwattle Yarn and Fibre, our local one. And yeah, she was buying a few things and she bought me these as well. So thank you, Selena, if you're watching. I don't know if you are, but thank you. Yeah, so little llamas or alpacas for the alpaca farm. I don't think there's anything else to say about this, but I'm so excited and I can't wait to be wearing it for you and showing you. The weather here has been a little bit crazy. We've had some very cool mornings. I have been doing my morning knitting in a cable knit sweater, the honeycomb pullover, which is so thick and warm. I knit it in Bendigo Woolen Mills 10 ply because it was a 10 ply worsted pattern. And that was before I realized that Bendigo Woolen Mills always has plumper yarn than I would expect. And so I probably should have done it in the 8 ply, but I didn't. I did it in the 10 ply, and so it is a huge, bulky thing. It was probably one of the first epic sweaters that I'd done. I wasn't really into like playing with pattern and length and understanding all that stuff as much as I am now. Or I may have done it differently, but it is what it is. It is huge and it is perfect for sitting outside on a cool morning and drinking a cup of tea and knitting. And so that's what I'm using it for. And this morning it was 20 degrees when I went outside at 6:30 in the morning. So not quite big, heavy sweater weather. But earlier this week it was like, what am I saying? Earlier this week, it's Monday. Late last week, it was like 11 degrees or 13 degrees and it's perfect. Perfect. I love it. Oh, I should probably tell you, you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Kirsty Knits and Sews. And on Instagram, I've been sharing my morning knitting when I remember it and the temperature. And so if you want to have a little bit of a glimpse of some things as I'm making progress on it, you can go check it out. All right, I have 2 more sock whips to show you, or 2 more whips to show you, which are both socks, and some dyeing that I've done. I will also mention, whips. I was like, I just thought of something. Whips are works in progress. I was having a conversation with my mum and dad and brother today. And my mum has been knitting a lot recently. She's doing the Jelly Roll blanket by Bakery Bears. and she's using the Advent that we did a swap for last year. And it is so much fun to see those colours in nice big gradient. Oh, it's beautiful. And Dad has been knitting socks but got to the heel turn and had a bit of a problem and has had some health problems, and so he's kind of paused that for a bit. But we were talking about knitting and things, and they mentioned they saw my last episode, and I was like, oh, that's great. So we're talking about whips and things, and my brother just sat there really confused. And then at some point I said something to him about, you know, Dad was saying that it shouldn't be called a whip if you just like cast it on and work on it and then cast it off like a sock. It shouldn't be a whip. He's like, it shouldn't be a whip because it doesn't count. It's not on the needles long enough to be a whip. And I was like, well, whips are things that you're working on. UFOs, unfinished objects, are the things that you've been sitting there and not working on. And so he was like, okay, well, maybe. And then my brother was just like, oh, whips, like works in progress. I was really trying to figure out why you needed 2 whips, Kirsty. Like, are you going to start a cattle ranch? Like, are you taking up horse riding? Why do you need whips? So whips, works in progress. I'm sorry for anyone who doesn't know the terminology. Yeah, whips are just things I'm currently working on. So I have 2 whips to share with you today. Let me figure out how to get this out of the things that I have stuck under me. Another bag made by me. This fabric came from my grandma, so it's very special. I think this one did too, actually. I have a tutorial for how to make project bags linked below. I make most of my bags. I can't say all, but most of my bags, and the ones that I make, I tend to use this tutorial for. It's not a pattern. I don't have a pattern released, but all the information, measurements, everything, and how to make it is in that tutorial. This is not the size given in the tutorial, but I go into how you can change the size really easily. And it's got a little handle. I have one that I made that doesn't have a handle because I forgot when I was making it. And I've seriously considered just cutting into it and adding a handle. And this one has beautiful Lori Holt fabric inside. All right, so another whip. This is actually a half finished object. This yarn is Trekking XXL, color number 790. I can't quite see. There we go. Color and lot 790 apparently. 75% superwash and superwash wool and 25% nylon. And I bought this from a yarn shop in Krakow, which is a couple of hours away from where I live here in Poland. Let me see if I can, will it fit on this one? I have a half finished object. It's probably a little bit big for this one, but there you go. So pretty. So when I was looking for another yarn to knit, I saw this and I thought, I want to knit that. That looks like fun. And it really was. The contrast for the heel is this one. Come on. There we go. And this was dyed by my son. I gave him a skein of yarn that had been soaked in vinegar, and then I put it on a tray and gave him some food dye and some sponges to stamp, and he dyed this. It was a really fun experiment. I haven't actually made him anything out of it yet, but he dyed the yarn, and I thought it went nicely enough with this to use for the heel. I really like it. This is Vanilla Socks on Magic Loop by Cave the Crazy Sock Lady. It is size medium, 64 stitches on a 2.5mm needle, 32 inch Chalgary red lace is what I like for Magic Loop. This is a gift. I've been working on my Christmas knitting, seeing if I can get that finished quickly, and so this one is a gift. And you can see from here where I'm up to, because there is a stitch marker here. Stitch markers is something that I picked up from Kayla of the Crazy Sock Lady. I just put them every 10 rows, and that means that when I do the second sock, I can make sure I have exactly the same amount of rows, which usually means that they match. I've been doing it basically since I started knitting socks, because I learnt from Kayla, and that's how I'm doing it now. Heel flap and gusset, no modifications in terms of size. And this is where I'm up to on the second sock. So I've just, this morning, gotten through the heel flap and heel turn, and I'm just that far past the heel turn. I do use a different marker to mark where I do the heel turn, and that's just to make it simple when I'm counting, that I don't have to try and figure out, is this the marker that matches up at the back? I can just be like, oh, that's where I'm up to, heel turn. But I usually do increments of 10 to get to that point, so that it's not different counting, it just tells me when to stop. 40 row leg, that's what I typically use. The pattern I think is different, but I usually do a 40 row leg and then the foot as far as it needs to go. What else? I started these on the 17th of August, so about a week ago. I was so excited to knit with this yarn. I started it on a Saturday night, so I'd have it to knit the next day. And rather than casting on in the morning, which I knew I would have had time to do, because I always get up and knit a little bit in the morning before I do other things. So I knew I'd have time to start it before church. But instead of doing that, I actually sat in my bedroom and cast it on at night, because I was so excited to knit with this yarn. And like I said, I like playing with colour. And this was, I didn't know how this was going to knit up, and I was really excited, and then I started and I just wanted to knit it. So this has been quite a quick sock. In fact, the first sock, I just finished the heel on Thursday, maybe I finished the heel on Thursday. We had some friends over who have kids, and so our kids just played for 7 hours. The kids just played and we just sat and chatted, and so I finished the whole foot. I still managed to make pizza for lunch, make dinner, do stuff with the kids, do some other stuff, but I did the whole foot that day because the kids were just so happy and we were chatting and catching up. I really, really enjoyed it. The kids are now sick because they picked something up from that family. That's what happens with kids. I'm not fussed, and if I could do it again, I would do the same thing because we had such a great day. But yeah, got some great knitting done. So, I forgot to put this back. Not that I'll need it again for the sock, but I like to keep it together. All right, the last pair of socks. I've actually started these twice. This one, I did not make this bag. I did a yarn swap. Yarn swap? Yeah. I participated in a yarn swap, and I swapped with someone in Arizona. Hi Takesha, if you're watching this. And yeah, she made me this bag and I absolutely love it. It is all cacti. When I wrote her a message, I said cactuses. And I was like, that doesn't look right. Cacti. It is cacti, handmade in Arizona by the person who I did the swap with. So thank you. And inside, the cutest bees. Oh, love it. And the pink zip, so much fun. All right, so this one. I have a dummy in here. My daughter, when she wakes up, comes down and joins me where I've been. Oh, sorry, I just realized there are inside pockets and there's a little catch to put things on. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, my daughter comes down in the morning and it works really well that I'll sit there and knit, and when the kids are allowed to get up, they will come and join me and we'll have cuddles and chat and see how they're going. But my daughter usually brings her dummy down, and so if I don't have pockets, I put it in my project bag, and then I need to put it back. So I'm going to take it out so that I can put it back after this, because their room is right here. All right, so the yarn. I have this one. So pretty. This one is by Dying Dream, who is another Australian dyer. It is 75% Australian merino, 25% nylon. There we go. And she is also a local, like a Canberra dyer, or at least she was when I bought this. So local to where I was living. And I have 2 more yarns in here that are both black bottle yarn and fibre. So beautiful pink and golden yellow. This one is Fields of Gold, and this one is strawberry whip, strawberries and cream, strawberry whip. And that is their tag. And so these are, I think, both the luxury sock yarn, which is 75% merino, 25% nylon. These are actually some of the earliest, these ones here, some of the earliest sock yarn that I ever bought. I bought it online, and then this one I bought as part of, I think, the Bendigo, no, it wasn't Bendigo, the wool show. There's an online wool show in Australia, and Dying Dream had was part of it, and so I bought this during that. But these were like early. And I should show you what I'm actually making with it. I'm doing this one on 9-inch circular, and so I'm using a 2.25 millimeter because my gauge does change when I go down. Come on. There we go. Ah, I love that I can get it to focus up close now. So I'm using the rainbow for the cuff and the heel and maybe the toe, not sure yet. Yeah, probably I will for the toe too. Yeah, so I'll do the rainbow for the cuff, heel and toe, and I'm just striping the yellow and pink for the body of the foot. Now, I started this again. The first time I did it, I did the pink for the cuff and was striping the pink and the rainbow. And I was thinking I'd do the yellow for the heel. But the pinks, different dyers, but the pinks in these two are so close that you could barely, like, it just looked like pooling of a mostly pink skein. So it was cool, like it was still cool, but it, with the pink cuff and then this pooling, it just looked too pink, if it can be too pink. Like it just, the balance was off. I think if I'd striped the cuff as well, I wouldn't have had the same problem because it would have just been like, that was the yarn. But with the pink cuff, it just didn't have as much contrast as I'd wanted for the cuff and the stripes and everything. And I thought, if I'm going to go to the effort of striping it, I want to see the stripes. So I changed it because my plan is to do socks for my kids, do this one for my daughter and this for my son, and so do this as the body of the socks and then the yellow and the pink as the heels, toes and cuffs. And I may even do like heel and toe, nah, probably just heel and toe. So I might do heels for one, and I'm not explaining this very well. I might do like a pink heel and a yellow cuff for one child, and then a pink cuff and a yellow heel for the other child, and then rainbow for the body. Mostly so that I can actually tell the difference between the pairs of socks other than the size. But I thought doing that, it would be fun to then have this one be a mix of the two. So that's what I'm doing. I am enjoying the striping. This is, oh look, I have actually started the heel. You can see just a tiny bit of the blue there. That is the heel being started. Come on. Ah, did it. So that blue is the heel being started. Yeah, so I will do that. When I'm doing 9-inch, I just do the whole thing except for the toe on the 9-inch. So the heel I do on the 9-inch. And this is a large 72 stitches vanilla socks on 9-inch circular by Kay the Crazy Sock Lady. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, that's about it. It's still a fair bit, isn't it? So much complicatedness. So I haven't even put it in there. I think I started it 2 days ago and then I ripped it out yesterday and restarted it yesterday. I don't have the date written in this book, but it is on Ravelry, and I will not update the beginning date just because I ripped it out and started again a day later. Yeah, I am looking forward to that, and I know that it's just going to be one pair, but I kind of mentally have it as a project of 3 pairs together because of the ones I'm making for my kids as well out of the same yarn. It kind of just seems like the same project. Oh, did I tell you these were 120 grams total? I'm not sure if I did, but there you go. 120 grams total. Yeah, so they're going to be shorties, the pink and yellow ones. Summer Sock Camp, which is a sock make along held by Kay the Crazy Sock Lady, hosted by Kay the Crazy Sock Lady. It finishes on the 31st of August. So I'm hoping to get both the socks that I'm knitting finished by then, and maybe, I want to say maybe even the socks for my kids, but that's very unlikely to happen because it's like 6 days away. But I would love to get those 2 finished before the end of August. And I have a lot of other projects that I'm planning to knit that are just kind of on hold because I want to knit socks while it counts for Summer Sock Camp. Not that getting a prize is the only reason to do anything, but it's just kind of that self-imposed deadline that I'm really enjoying working towards at the moment. And because I've got Magic Loop and 9-inch, I'm flicking back and forth between them. I'm still working on the frame sweater because it's so much fun. But I did, like last night, I was watching a movie and I could have done it, but I chose to do the socks. And that was a good thing probably because I kept falling asleep anyway. Alright, so that is all of my whips, but I do want to share with you a little bit of my dyeing. So like I said, I cannot share the Advent stuff with you because people will be watching this who cannot see that. If you're interested in what I'm talking about though, me and 5 friends, and last year it was me and 4 friends, this year it's me and 5 friends, are doing an Advent swap. So last year, the 5 of us dyed 5 colorways, 5 minis in 5 colors and swapped. So we all ended up with a 25-day Advent calendar. But a lot of people made blankets or jumpers and ended up with needing to buy other yarn to supplement the colors. So this year we had another friend who wanted to join us, and so we decided to do 5 people dye 5 colorways and 1 person would dye a full skein that could be used as a main skein in the project. And that's what we've done. And so I've dyed my 5 colorways, and I was dyeing the skein for the person who is contributing the full skein as well, because she doesn't have dyes, but she wanted to join in the swap. And so we're doing that, and I'm so excited. So I have everything waiting to be shipped off to my sister, who is coordinating the parceling out of everything. I'm just waiting on a couple of things to arrive so that I can finish that. But I am excited. And this year we are basing them on a movie. The movie I chose was While You Were Sleeping. And yeah, so I rewatched that, picked out colorways, very, very excited. But when I got my dyes out to do that, because getting dyes out, for me, I'm not a professional, it's all done in my kitchen, and so if I'm getting all of the pans and the pots and the things for the dyes out and the dyes, then I kind of want to make the most of it. And now that I spin, I wanted to try dyeing fibre that I could spin. So I did. Oh, so squishy. this is the first one that I dyed. This is, I probably should have checked before. I think it's Tencel, not Tencel. There's one that is like a non-wool fibre, and there's one that is a breed of wool. And this is the breed of sheep that produces wool. So it is 100% wool. I love it. This one looks nothing like what I was planning. Let me just say it was a big learning curve. I did this in a rice cooker because I had a rice cooker that we no longer use for rice, and so I felt confident that I could use it for dye and it wouldn't be a problem. In fact, we were going to get rid of it. And then I was like, hang on a minute, I can use that for fibre. So it's done in a rice cooker. I put a lot of water in and then put dyes on top and thought, look at all these beautiful colours. And then when I came back, it had all mostly blended in together. And that was just that there was so much more water in there than I had really taken note of. And so before it had stuck to the wool, it had already mixed. So there is definitely some, you know, colour variation, but it is mostly that beautiful tealy green colour. I also did it, I'm not sure if this is how you recommend to do it or not, but I did it unbraided. So I just kind of put the long thing into the pot, and I was like, this is a bit strange. I've since seen that people often braid it before they dye it, so maybe I'll do that next time. Like, it doesn't seem to be felted. I'm looking forward. I haven't tried spinning with them yet. I wanted to show you and finish my current spin before I do that. But yeah, that is number one. So then I tried something different for my second one, which was this one. And I basically stayed away from yellow because I didn't want it to come out green. I only put a little bit of blue in, but what I did for this one was I actually put pink down the bottom and had little bits coming up, and those little bits that came up I then sprinkled dye onto. And so the blue, the orangey colour, all of those bits were ones that I had sprinkled dye onto rather than, look, there's a nice big bit of blue in here. Yeah, rather than pour dye onto, and I made sure that the water level was much lower. I did have to, for all of these, continue to top up the water. Yeah, but you can see I got a lot more colour variation having a lower water level. My third one also didn't work the way that I planned. I love it, just not what I was trying to achieve. This one I put blue. Yes, I put blue down the bottom, thinking that I would have kind of a reverse of this. I could have mostly blue with bits of pink. But because I then used, to be honest, it was quite a bit of yellow, and then that had went down, that kind of got caught up in the water, and so I ended up with a mostly green. Like I said, I still love it. So now my biggest question is, do I do these, spin them together, and then do a 2-ply with these two together, or do I spin them as separates and do like a fractal green and a fractal pink? Or do I spin, like do one as one and the other as two and ply them together, so I end up with a fractal, but a fractal that has very different colours? Yeah, I'm leaning towards plying them together just because this one has pinks, and I mean this one doesn't really have greens, but I'm leaning towards playing them together. If you have thoughts, let me know. But they are my successes in dyeing fibre. I still have a kilo of merino that is undyed that I will practice dyeing, plan to dye, but I haven't figured out whether I want to do a sweater quantity or not, because I may do that. I may actually braid up 600 grams and do enough to spin a DK sweater. That sounds sounds really tempting. Or I might do 300 grams and do enough to do a contrast color in a DK sweater, and then do another 300 plain. Anyway, lots of options. But yes, after knitting with my Handspun in the framed sweater, I'm sold, 100% sold. It is so much fun to do hand spinning and then knit with it. All right, I think that is about it for knitting content. I do have a note here to talk about Christmas knits. I do Christmas knits throughout the year. So it's August, it's almost September. But I have actually almost finished my Christmas knits because the people I knit for are in different countries. And so generally I have to knit ahead of time. And so I tend to knit kind of 3 months at least before someone needs something so that I have time to post it. So I'm still finishing up Christmas knits, but I hope to be done by the end of August, beginning of September at the latest, so I can post them off and they can arrive in plenty of time for Christmas and birthdays and whatever else is being sent for. I think I've got three more things to knit, finish. Yeah, so I'm almost there. I have decided, for my sister who is watching this, that the present that I was going to give for Christmas to one of her children will be postponed to as a birthday present because there's no way that's going to be finished in time, which is a blanket. So yeah, that's good. But yeah, I want to get everything done and shipped by the end of September by the latest. So yeah, life things. I have been reading the Love Comes Softly series. There are 8 books and then there's a sequel series of 4 books, and I am in the last book of the sequel series. So I have read 11 books and I'm on the 12th book, and then it will be finished. I love the Love Comes Softly series. It's by Jeanette Oak. I've read them probably every other year since I was 14, maybe. Like, I've read them a lot. Yes, I've maybe read them 10 times. Like, I love this series. The sequel series, which is called The Prairie Legacy, I believe, I'm not a huge fan of. I'm going to finish it this time. I'm not sure I'll read it again after this time. This will be the second or third time I've read it, and every time I read it, it's not my favorite, but it does kind of wrap up. That's not true. The series itself wraps up nicely. This was a subsequent series that deals with the same characters and the same people, but the next generation down. And so, yeah, I enjoy it-ish. If I hated it, I wouldn't keep reading it, but I don't enjoy it enough to read it every time I read the other series. Maybe I'll read it again in 10 years. We'll see. And yeah, in terms of what I've been watching, I watched the High School Musical trilogy the other day, and I got an inordinate amount of pleasure from watching the High School Musical trilogy. Yeah. Enough said. We've also been watching the Marvel saga in release order, and so last night we watched Avengers, the original one, and I was so tired I kept falling asleep, but I still enjoyed watching it, the bits that I did see. And I've just started watching One Tree Hill, which is on Disney Plus here in Poland. Yeah, I watched it as a teenager for a little bit and then I stopped. I think there was like a scheduling clash with something, or I just got busy and wasn't around. So I was like, I'm going to rewatch that, and I'm enjoying it so far. I'm only very, very early on. Other things that have been going on, I lost my glasses. You may not be able to tell because these are exactly the same with a slightly different prescription, but I lost my glasses. We went to church and we decided to go out for lunch after church. So we went out with a friend from church, got lunch, then we decided to buy some donuts because there are some really good donuts in town, which have tripled in price since we first came to visit this town. Like inflation. My goodness. But as a special treat, we thought we'd get them, bring them home for when we were hungry again. And I lost my glasses, and I do not know how. I had them with me when I bought the donuts. I was wearing my normal glasses. I then handed the donuts to my husband, changed into my sunnies, and I don't know what happened with my normal glasses in the glasses case. I don't know whether I dropped it and didn't notice, or if I put it on the top of the car and drove away and didn't notice. But I went back. I drove all the way from home back to where we were. I circled around to see if they'd maybe fallen off the car. I drove all the way home. I went back. I went to where we bought the donuts. I looked around the streets. I could not find them. They're gone. So it was a long day. Great morning, long day. Do not have my glasses. These are an older prescription and they seem to be okay. Maybe my eyes are working a little harder. I've been a bit more fatigued. My eyes have been more tired, but I need to decide whether, I just need to pick new frames online and buy them and make that decision. But that's been put in the pause basket. I did find some that I like and some that I love. The ones that I love are significantly more than the ones that I like. And so it's just a how much am I willing to spend on glasses thing. I think this is the first pair that I've ever lost. This is not a common thing for me. So yeah, but yeah. And we started toilet training my daughter again, which is very exciting. When we moved back, we put a pause on the toilet training because of all the other stress and changes, and it just wasn't a good time. But we've come back to that and she's doing really well. So that is exciting, but also a little bit more tiring than usual. Yeah, and the only other thing I have here is we have been preparing for school because school starts again next week here in Poland. I need to buy some more shoes for my son because kids need a lot of shoes in Poland, and they need one set of everything needed for school and one set of everything needed for home, so that they're not trying to remember and take them back and forward. So I think that's 6 pairs of shoes that my son needs, which is ridiculous when I say it like that, but that's what we need. So I need to go buy some more because he has some that he needs, but not all that he needs. And now he's 6, so I'll probably have to do that by myself and hope that he likes the ones that I get. But yeah, we did go and tour his school, and so that was very exciting. He is in preschool because preschool goes till a later age here than it does in Australia. In Australia, he started big school, and now we're here and he's back to preschool. But yeah, he is very excited to go to his new school, and we're still working out school for my daughter. But yeah, it's been a lot of school kind of focus here. And also just soaking up the end of summer holiday. The fact that we don't have to leave the house really early every morning to get the kids to school. It's been really nice. We've been having movie days. We've been having friends over. Yeah, it's been a good couple of weeks. And like I said, the fact that our kids are sick now, we're just rolling with it. Would not have changed the time with our friends for anything. So yeah. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. It has been a delight to share with you the things that I've been making and creating and the colour play. I love colour. I look forward to seeing you next time.